you. I won't. Paul wrote it and Tom wrote it. Tom edited it, but I think it was good. Yeah, Tom's edit was good. Yeah, it was a good edit. And then we did Cal and emotional. Funky, there's poison ivy. We're good time.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Delaware Shade Tree Commission meeting, monthly meeting for February 27th, 2018. We'll begin with roll call, please.
Ms. Brewster?
Here.
Mr. Buck? Mr. Carey? Mr. Glissman?
Here.
Ms. Schaefer? Here. Mr. Wilbur?
Here.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Wright?
Here.
Chairman Olin?
Here.
Motion to excuse Mr. Buck and Mr. Carey.
Seconded. Vote, please.
Ms. Brewster?
Yes.
Mr. Glissman?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer? Yes. Mr. Wilbur?
Yes.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Olin?
Yes. Next is approval of the motion summary for the meeting held January 23rd, 2018 as recorded and transcribed. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Ms. Brewster?
Yes.
Mr. Glissman?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer? Yes. Mr. Wilbur?
Yes.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Olin?
Yes. Okay, that moves us right on to item number 3. There's no public here tonight, so we'll skip that and go straight to discussion of community outreach activities. And the first is Arbor Day, Healthy Kids Day. Who would like to start out the discussion?
Well, I can say that I think in our last meeting, we committed to participate in those activities that we did last year, which includes the YMCA Healthy Kids Day on Saturday. Help me out with the date here.
April 28th,
April 28th.
8:30 to 11:30 a.m.
And that would we would probably incorporate our community tree planting like we've done in the past, whether it's on the Y site or nearby. And then that would sort of take care of both the Arbor Day, which is the Friday before, and the Healthy Kids Day, all on that day, Saturday, April 28th.
Sounds good.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, is there anything we need to organize in terms of the table and the kiosk?
Yes. And I was hoping Dave Carey would be here because we need to, maybe he's already taken care of it, but order the trees, the little seedlings that we've typically given away.
Right, because the deadline is this Thursday for the seedling request.
Oh, there he is. Good.
Right on cue.
Hi, Dave.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave.
Okay, so hate to hit you with this right away, Dave, but we were just talking about the Arbor Day, Healthy Kids Day celebration, and we were talking about some of the things that we might need to prepare for the kiosk, and the subject of the seedlings came up. And I noticed that March 1st, or the first week of March, was the deadline for the seedling request. Do I have that written down correctly?
Oh, no, we have ours.
We have the seedlings?
Yep.
Okay,
Great.
got 'em ordered. Okay, so that will be,
Thank
again,
you.
Yesterday.
Thank you.
part of the Healthy Kids Day giveaways that we have.
Okay, yeah, tree planting and seedling giveaway.
And then the city, Linda specifically, has the plastic bins of our stuff.
Linda has our stuff, okay.
So we'll need to get those from her, and I'll need to replace anything that we've used in the past we don't have enough of. Most of those are just photocopied stuff, so I can take care of that.
Duct tape.
And duct tape, make
Duct
sure there's
tape.
duct tape in
Oh
there.
my gosh,
The
yes.
sign should be with that, our banner. And, yeah, I should have looked up the inventory list, but
There's a flag, but I think that's more for outdoor stuff.
Yeah. Does Doug have any info on the tree planting? Is there anything you want to?
The tree's going to be planted by the splash pad. There's going to be a new sidewalk put in.
Okay,
It's going to split that bed.
okay,
It goes right, I don't know, to the plate split from the actual misting, from the actual splash pad.
yeah, I can picture that.
So the tree, we'll put a tree in there.
And what time of the day have we typically done that, 10 a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Sounds good.
Susan, I can take an inventory and email it to you, what's in the box.
let me email you the list.
Okay,
I have a list, and I thought that I checked off that everything was still in there.
okay. And I have to reserve a table for the Parks Board, so I will get one for the shade tree as well.
Okay,
Okay, good.
then that event is followed very quickly by the first Friday event, which would be Friday night, March 4th, maybe? 4th?
May 4th,
May
4th,
4th,
yeah, May 4th.
you
And
would
we
like
agreed.
a table for that one as well, correct?
Yep,
And so whatever seedlings are left over, we'll keep probably in the shady side of my building. And then I can just transport those
Yeah.
right downtown.
okay,
I think that's what we did last year, and they keep pretty well. They're in the shade the whole time, and then it's pretty much the same deal.
mhm, mhm.
We're doing the same thing for First Friday. So,
Mark your
what time
calendars.
does that, are you gonna have the sign-up sheet?
I will have the sign up.
Okay.
I told you before the meeting, I'm not going to be at the next month's meeting, March, but I will circulate that sign up list, the times, and you can get back with me on the times you're available to help at both events.
Okay. Sounds good. Anybody have any questions so far about the Arbor Day, Healthy Kids Day, or First Friday? What we do, what we need, any ideas? Anybody have anything to add on that?
I think we would usually do, a 2-hour shift, and then there's a good break in there if you want to go see the tree planting.
Mhm.
It's not bad. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff to look at there.
It would be great if we had some kids' activities. I think we did, drawing one year.
Right, yeah.
We have some handouts,
You brought some.
yeah,
so-
and I'll make sure we have those and look at our inventory of stuff, search the web for new activities, but I'll have to admit that it's sort of on auto drive now. I don't scour to find anything new, so.
Well, I think a lot of the times the kids and the parents are going around from stop to
Right.
stop and seeing what's going on, and if there's a handout or a giveaway or an information, they take it and they move on.
Yeah.
So having the trees and the planting instructions, and then maybe some of our other handouts, is probably
No,
That's about all they're gonna be
all
able
we're
to
gonna
handle.
get out of
That
it.
seems to be what's happened in the past.
Mhm.
The next item, though, the Now Festival, is a little bit different in that they're more settled, and they may tend to spend more time in a single location. I need to tell you guys, though, that that takes place in June, and if all goes according to plan, I will not be a resident of Delaware, the city of Delaware, as of June. Because I'm getting hitched, and decisions are no longer made unilaterally. So,
good or bad?
no, they're made unilaterally, just not by me. So,
There you go. That's better.
so anyway,
All's well.
I might be out of here by the end of May. That maybe not, but that's the way it's looking right now. But we need to talk about what we're going to do during the Now Festival. It's going to be the same materials. Hopefully, all the tree seedlings will be gone by then. If not, I forget. Did we have any left over?
You
Yeah.
were- None
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
after First Friday?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, because First Friday was rain out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
Wow.
a disaster.
Because I got down there and there was not a boost to be had.
Yeah, that was
Right.
awful.
That was bad
It
news.
was a monsoon.
Yeah. So it'll be basically the same thing as the A and B under this discussion. And then maybe some more kids' activities. Because families like to hang out, especially if the weather's nice, they're just sort of hanging out for a few hours. And then we actually need something to offer. So that's not until June, but it would be worthwhile to start thinking of some stuff to do for that, to offer for family activities. And, you know, we want little kids to start cherishing trees and, you know, learning about them and liking them and appreciating them. So these are the kind of places that we can start that process. So we don't need anything concrete now unless somebody has thought about this already and has specific ideas for kids' activities. But if not, just keep that in mind and try to come up with something fun for the Munchkins.
I attended the planning meeting for the Now Watershed Festival with Caroline Cisucci, and I have a pretty good idea what's going to happen there. There will be a rubber duck race. There will be a canoe float. So there are going to be activities, you know, on site and around the site on the Olentangy. So there's a lot of activities. So it's not absolutely imperative that we have a kids activity, but it would be nice if you did. Yes.
Okay. When was that?
Just last
Was it the
week,
19th?
Thursday or Friday. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why I missed that. I usually go to those, but I missed that one. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I wasn't at last year's now because I think I was on vacation. Anyway, I kind of remember in the lead up to that Ted had mentioned having some little laminated sheets or maybe for some of the trees around where they were setting up with
The
benefits.
value.
And did that happen?
We did, he mentioned that the last time he was here, I believe. No, that didn't happen that time. That's when he thought of it, and we've talked about it since then. And he mentioned, didn't he mention that when he was here before? That he wanted to
It's been
create
several
those?
months since he's mentioned it. I'll tell you, the other thing that would be nice to unveil if it's ready to go is that Tree Legacy Program.
Oh, right. Let the public know about
Yeah,
that.
if
Okay,
that's,
so let's
that'd
write
be
down
Yeah. good.
Ted's ideas.
So
I'll check with Ted.
just check with them and see if there's some sort of brochure or sign up that we can begin to distribute in April, talk about.
And the tree value, what are those, placards?
Posters or- yeah.
Posters?
It's not really a poster, but it's a little more permanent than that.
So those two things we'll ask Ted about. Okay, so Tom, can you give us just a rundown of what they talked about at the Now Festival meeting? Just the basics, the same thing that she included in the email that she sent out.
Yeah, it was a long agenda. We talked about the timetable. Because last year, I think, there were activities happening simultaneously and people were confused what's happening where at what time. So, there will be a posted timetable of events. When will the awards, given? When does the canoe float start? When will the rubber duck race, begin and end? Things like that. And then participants, logistics, usual stuff, right? Nothing really jumps out
Okay.
at me.
Nothing
Wasn't
that,
anything new that she had
No.
planned?
This is the first time she's doing it. She took it over from Kristen Piper and Colin Smith, and she's pretty much faithfully continuing that tradition. I encouraged her to maybe, look at branching out a little bit. I encourage her to include some appropriate local vendors. For example, somebody who might be in the solar panel business or in the bicycle business. But she and I think Kristen and Colin too felt in the city. I cannot talk for the city, but I think the sense is it should remain a non-profit event, and I agree with that. On the other hand, I see nothing wrong with somebody who sells flowers, or gardening, or
And we
solar
have
panels.
had that in.
And we did have that in the past.
So that's a couple.
Yes, that plant lady from Marengo will be there again.
And there was
Harmony,
another
natives and harmony.
Yeah, and there were a couple native plant growers,
Yeah.
suppliers there.
So I would be fine with that, yes.
Yeah.
As long as the focus is not on selling, and marketing.
Oh, right,
Yeah, of
right,
course.
right, yeah.
The focus should remain on educational activities, I believe.
Is there another organizational meeting planned?
Not at the moment.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, good, thanks, Tom. Thanks for going to that. Yeah, last week was a crazy week for me and I couldn't attend. So any other comments, questions, or concerns about any of these community outreach activities? Nope, okay. Yeah, we're getting pretty good at this, I think. We're working the bugs out year after year. I think we're starting to get it down. Okay, then next is item number 5, discussion of creating a resolution to council regarding the BIA. Now, I sent my very rough draft out, and I have copies if you want to scribble on it, but I think that Tom's addition, his editing of that, and his rewriting of that was actually the more useful one. It was worded in a much more civilized way, for one thing. And so, does anybody have, do we have any other feedback, suggestions regarding the wording of this kind of a resolution?
Yeah, I agreed with Tom's changes that he offered. I'm just curious about what happens to this now. What's the process? And
Actually, I'd like a copy of that, please. I didn't receive one.
okay.
Yeah, I brought paper copies if anybody needs,
Yeah.
Now, is that the original version or is that your edited
That is
version?
my edited
Okay.
version. I knew that Paul would bring his
Yeah.
own version, so pass that to the right and pass that to the left.
Okay, thank you.
So this in no way is intended to, to denigrate, Paul's effort. He stuck out his neck, he did a wonderful job, he took the initiative, so I'm very grateful. That was the hard part. Editing something is easy as far as I'm concerned. Paul did the tough job.
I'm wondering, not with regard to editing, but okay, so requesting, oh no, actually, it was in your email message that you said that that sometimes you're not able to participate in
in
meetings
your
in the
message,
past.
you had the phrase that a member of the Shade Tree Commission be present.
Right.
And to
then I
me,
just
that's
sit there
too
like
vague.
a bump on
Present,
the log.
a fly on the wall, or a full participant. So I
So
wanted to clarify.
you've been to meetings where you've been present, but
Oh, absolutely, happens all the
not
time.
not able to participate.
Yes,
I
that's
see.
the normal
Okay.
situation. Uh-huh.
See, yeah, that's, I'm glad you included that fully participate section here in this one.
And even that,
Physical or
might
virtual.
need clarification. A voice is not the same thing as a vote. I don't know if they would vote on anything. It's probably by consensus. But the devil is really in the details in these.
Right, it sure is, yeah.
My major concern with the wording that's here is that my gut feeling is that the meetings are planned without an agenda. I mean, you're going to meet on topic A, but topic B, C, and D may come up in the course of the conversation. And if the topic that brought the meeting together didn't cover tree-related issues, then it would be normal to assume that we weren't going to be invited, although tree-related things might come up. So I'm not suggesting a change based on that, but I'm just saying that I don't think this would assure that we're part of every conversation that may happen.
I agree.
Yeah.
In fact, the word meeting is very complicated too.
Yeah.
What if the president of the BIA calls up, David Eflin on the phone and discusses something with him? Does that constitute a meeting? Probably not under the Ohio Revised Code. It would not fall under the Sunshine Law. But it's a slippery slope.
Well, this is at least a really good step in the right direction. Nothing's perfect, but and it may not be 100% effective in every single circumstance, but I think it's a good solid resolution, a good solid proposal. Are we ready to vote on this, or does anybody want to?
Well, since Doug is saying it for the first time, I would say.
Okay, yeah. What do you think, Doug?
Well, the only thing is, you mentioned the fee structure. There was a big win that you had just now that charge per caliper inch is now in the fee schedule.
Yes.
So to get that changed, you'll have to move mountains to get that changed anyway. So I guess I don't, what are they going to meet about that would be so important? I'm just asking this blatantly, what would be so important that someone from this commission was at that meeting that wouldn't be conveyed to them through the plans that you okay or anything else?
That's a good question. And the reason this came up is because it was early last year or late the previous year, the Building Institute of America met with some city officials and wanted to be able to change city policy, not only by circumventing us, but also city council. And this idea was actually Lisa Keller's idea. It came up at a city council meeting because there were meetings going on between the Building Institute, Building Industry Association, and city officials, where they were talking about changing city policy without groups like us or even city council being in on the discussion. So that's how this was brought about.
Okay. Well, what changes in policy, though, they can have discussions about what they might want to see with city staff. But implementing those changes is a different animal, right? At that point, you have to go to council, and then we would expect to be notified of those situations where shade tree ordinances would be impacted, right? So they can talk all they want to. What's that going to get them? They're going to have to go through council anyway, right? It's rhetorical, I suppose, but it's actually a genuine question. Are there things that can happen that impactful things that could happen under the table that we would need to try and circumvent? I guess that's sort of the question you're asking too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm sort of aware of the backstory, but I kind of agree with your sentiment that I thought this was a done deal already, that the fee structure was.
It is done for this year, but the fee structure now is subject to change to what word am I looking for?
Interpretation.
Subject to revision every year. We may have had, a temporary, we won a battle, last year, but the same battle will have to be fought all over again every year. And I'm not as optimistic as you are, Dave. With all due respect to city council and city staff, which are, wonderfully professional people, I was perturbed at one point when the planning people responsible for the planning commission said, indicated in writing, we are quote unquote amenable to whatever change the BRA is requesting, is suggesting. We are amenable. And the BRA also suggested and pushed for changes that would indeed circumvent city council, not involve city council at all. Make administrative decisions, on the city staff level, and not even elevated to city council. So I think there's a general tendency where I think we need to be watchful and on guard.
Before it gets to us.
Before, yeah. And again, that's not a perfect situation, and we cannot maybe catch everything, but I think, I think personally, my main objective is, there will be, discussions back and forth. But my personal objective is that the Shade Tree Commission communicates very strongly and forcefully to city staff and city council that we wish to be on the table. We wish to be, at the table and have a voice in things that, affect the Shade Tree Commission. That's a reasonable request. Other commissions are doing the same thing. Planning commission is heavily involved in all kinds of things. So somehow, there is a hierarchy of commissions. Some commissions seem to be, seem to have more of an impact, seem to be more important than other commissions. So, I find that unfortunate. Our mandate is to take care of the city trees and not more, not less. So that's my interest.
Well, I still say that we need to sit on this for a month.
Okay.
Let Doug have time to read it, think about it, share it with Ted, who's not here tonight. Let it percolate through the powers that be and on the council or whatever, and then next month take another look at it.
Sounds good to me. Sounds reasonable. Any other ideas, comments, suggestions? Okay, that's what we'll do then. Sounds good. All right, thanks for the input on that, everyone. And the next thing is arborist report. Doug?
I'll do the yearly summary for 2017 first.
Okay.
We removed 85 trees that were removed due to being deemed hazardous or unwanted trees. 851 street trees were pruned. Obviously, that number was down a little bit because of my absence from previous year. Total, we as a commission reviewed 26 development and approved 26 development and building landscape plans. We planted 232 replacement street trees last year in the fall, and there's still 38 trees that we had removed in 2017 that we should be able to get planted in 2018. So we are technically caught up to our backlog of trees.
Excellent. Wow.
We did plant the additional 100 trees at Oak Grove Cemetery. We still have approximately about, I think it's about right around $8,000 still available to plant more trees once the new plan has been developed for the new areas at the cemetery of Mr. West's donation. Obviously, the issues and concerns is the street tree pruning will continue, which leads us to January. We only removed one tree in January, believe it or not. We did 89 street trees. We had a lot of weather in January, so that kind of kept us from being out very much. We still have the ongoing project for a 5-year maintenance program to implement that. and to use it. We were named Delaware was named another Tree City USA community for the 37th consecutive year. The awards program this year is in Grove City on April 19th. So if anyone is interested to go, let Linda know, and she can get a couple people registered for it. I also want to convey there is currently $216,317 in the tree fund.
How much is that?
$216,317.
Considering when I got on the Shade Tree Commission, I think we had 0. That's that's wonderful.
Wow, a lot of good news from
And-
Doug tonight.
And I would also like to, after we get through with our April, May flurry of activities, I really would like to get back to discussing the downtown tree situation, knowing what the merchants want and having money to do that. I think we should come up with a plan.
Yeah, that's been festering.
It's been
for
festering for a long time,
years.
you know. We don't have a monetary excuse to delay. There might be other reasons to delay, but we don't have a money reason to delay anymore.
Yeah, court. almost a quarter.
Well, I have a question for you, Doug. if
Yes.
you're- So your plan is a 5-year rotation, right,
Yes.
for pruning. Is that anything you need to pull from the tree fund for, or is that being covered by base funding?
We actually, we have moved money in the budget to professional services so that we could use outside contractors to do to help with the pruning, so that we can get caught up and get to that schedule that we want to get to. The tree fund money is what we use to plant new trees and to replant trees. That's what that fund can only be used for, is to plant new trees. And the care of maintenance of those trees for, I think it's for 1 year. It's
Oh, is it just for 1 year? I
Yeah.
thought we opened up that
maybe
a little bit.
we did.
Am I remembering that wrong?
I remember having the discussion, but I don't know that it changed.
Okay.
So that's what the tree fund money is being used to purchase new trees. That's what.
Was the wording for that in the code that we reviewed and revised?
I believe it was.
That was where that all came from when we had the discussion. Okay.
So from what I remember, we can use tree fund money for maintenance of trees. I don't think there was a 1-year limitation, but we couldn't use it for site prep. So anyway, that's what I remember. So that's,
I'll look into that
Right.
and let you know.
so my point is, if we have a situation where we have extra funds and we're thinking about what we may want to do with them, this might be an option too. That's my point.
Increased maintenance, is that what you're saying?
Oh, well, if
Extended?
it's really hard to keep up with the 5-year rotation, and if there's a glut of, we were at a point where we had a glut of, EAV trees we needed to replace.
Or if we have an ice
In
storm or
conjunction
something
with,
like that.
in conjunction with, a down economy, we were struggling for a while. Now we're in a good spot, but we've planted all those trees, and now they're going to be pruned on top of everything else. So I guess I was just opening that up that, okay, if we got this 216, maybe we could use some of it to catch up. Along with the,
I know that Ted looked into that, and it wasn't the way that the ordinance was worded before, and I don't believe that has taken effect yet. What we had written, I don't think that has been approved yet.
okay,
Mm.
all right. Well, I guess
So-
that's important.
I think that
Yeah.
still needs to
Yeah.
be all approved still.
What's the delay?
Now, see, you're asking me questions I don't know the
Okay.
answers to on that.
Okay.
Interesting. Any other questions for Doug?
a comment. If we are looking at replacing downtown trees, I'd like to know ahead of time how many trees we are talking about. Is there an inventory of how many crab apples there are, how many we would have to replace, how much that would be? I think it should be easy to find out if there are 100 or 200 crab apples that need to be
88.
replaced.
There's 88.
88. Along Sandusky and maybe some size.
Sandusky and Winter.
Okay.
Sandusky, William, and Winter.
Well, I don't want
And
to
you're going to go check tomorrow, aren't you?
Oh,
I know
that's
you,
quite
Tom.
possible.
not to put the cart ahead of the horse, but based on the comments that we heard 5 or 7 or however many years ago, step number 1 has got to be pulling the merchants in Main Street, Delaware, and figuring out what they want, what their priorities are before we come up with any kind
Yeah,
of plan.
otherwise,
Because that was their
they need
biggest,
to own this.
yeah, well, that was their biggest criticism, that this whole thing was done. They knew about the streetscape, but they didn't know about the tree planting and trees being replaced and that kind of thing. So,
I'm
This
on
will-
the Main Street board, so that's something as we get closer.
okay,
When they're ready. Main Street was very involved in working with the merchants on the Dora. If you're familiar with what the Dora is.
Dora.
Different topic, but it was-
Designated outdoor recreational
Oh, that's right,
area.
okay, yeah,
Alcohol.
They did a very good survey of the
Okay.
merchants, even if they weren't members of Main Street,
Yeah.
to figure out where they were. So I think that's something that.
Yeah.
When you're ready.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be done overnight for
Yes.
sure, but.
yes.
Good ideas. Okay, anything else on that topic? Okay, staff comments? Any staff comments? No. Member comments? Susan, did you have
Yeah.
something?
I do. I'm not reading my phone, I'm reading a tweet that went out. This has to do with the tree replacement East William Street project. And there were big electronic signboards announcing that, and then I think the city probably sent out press releases, got in the newspaper, everything was great, well publicized, except I have a little concern about what was worded here, and I'll read this. Tree removal along East William Street begins Monday. That was a month or so ago. First step of widening project. This is the sentence that got me. New trees will be planted when work is completed.
There will be new trees.
What do you think of, though, when you hear that? When you
You're going to
read
put them
that?
all back that you took out.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Sure does. And even when you follow the link, at the end of a tweet, there's a link and it takes you to the city's, I don't know if it's a city website, I don't know if it's a press release. It was worded a little bit better, but if you weren't like me,
Studious.
focused on what exactly are they saying, you would probably miss it. It said in there, it says in the press release, let me see if I can find it, excuse me. Consistent with city code and city council practices, each caliper tree inch removed will be replaced in kind along the roadway, city-owned property, or other nearby locations as deemed necessary when construction is completed. We know what that means, but I think if I didn't know what the policy is, I would assume from the tweet and this, that there were going to be trees, a lot of trees along William Street,
What site was that tweeted on?
DelawareOhio.net. And when I read the tweet, I almost called Lee because I thought, oh my
I'm
gosh.
sure that's who did it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this isn't exactly the way I understood it. And if anybody's reading that, I think it could be easily misconstrued. So I just wanted to bring that to someone's attention. And if we do get questions about why I thought you were going to replace the trees, they have very good reason to ask that, because I think it was not stated clearly enough.
The second wording was better if you're really studious.
Yes, yes.
And examine the sentence component by
Yeah.
component. But people don't read that kind of material that way. They just go through it like a newspaper and,
Well, chances are you didn't even follow the link. You just read the tweet and it said it was
right.
going to be replaced.
right, so,
So I don't know if it's something that needs to be formally corrected, but we ought to be aware that,
people might get the wrong idea and then feel some resentment
when it,
after the whole thing's over with, and then say, well, you're on the Shade Tree Commission, what were you guys thinking when you let this happen? Because I thought the trees were going to be replanted.
There's confusion. From what
yeah,
we're
you said,
hearing
yeah.
out in public.
Where are you hearing this?
Well, we heard it at a realtors board meeting.
Oh, okay.
And I've heard it from mostly realtors in the city who are misunderstanding what's going on.
Interesting. Okay. So. So did you ever call Lee?
No, it didn't.
We'll let them know.
Yeah.
I have a note to mention it to him.
Okay. Thanks,
Well, the
Linda.
press release on the city's wwebsite is pretty clear and unambiguous, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And I read that,
The
and
press release is much more to the point.
Okay.
But apparently a lot of people read tweets.
Mhm.
I think so.
Well,
Just based on the comments I've heard. What's going on? Why would you let them cut all the trees down? Why are they cutting all the trees down? But
Where
that
are
could
the trees
also,
going?
yeah, be uninformed, so.
Okay, any other member comments?
I have something.
Okay.
Very quickly, annual report, maybe at the
Oh,
next
yeah.
meeting, we can start discussing that. Maybe we can put that on the agenda. Somebody needs to produce a draft, in March and finalize that in April or whatever, and then present to the city council. So just bring that to your attention. Also, I have another piece of good news that, many of you, I assume, are not aware of. I attended I heard rumors about this project, and I attended the Parks and Recreation meeting last Tuesday. And so the city is developing a new neighborhood park. It is near the YMCA. There is a nice piece of wood, 15 acres of woods. The whole property is 30 acres. Across from the YMCA, just a little north of there. So I'm pleased to report that a decision was made to keep that little forest intact. It's a beautiful forest. I've been inside. I used to walk my dog in there, many mature trees, lots of deer and other critters. So, the property on the west of that is currently a field, so that will be developed and become a recreational field with various features. But the woods will remain intact. There will be some trails will be built through them and around them, but essentially the woods will stay as they are. And that is not something that we should take for granted, because when the Y was built on the other side of South Hauk, there was also a little piece of wood that was demolished, and that's where the little pond is there now. So 75–80% of the trees were removed a number of years ago, to my profound chagrin. So this is a different scenario now. The city wants to keep that canopy intact. So I'm very grateful for that. Whoever is behind that. And it's going to be a great amenity, for the community. There will be housing north of it and east of it. And so people will be able to use, that recreational field and exercise trails, like natural trails with natural features, natural playgrounds for kids. So Delaware has not had that so far.
That is good. Thanks, Tom. Okay, any other member comments? There's no plans tonight to review? Okay.
No plan.
All right, then, if that's it, then I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
7:35.
It's all happening. Yeah.